Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Behavior Code. I'm your host, Maria.
And I'm Gabriel. It's great to be with you all again. So, today we're going to talk about something, it's like the air we breathe. It's everywhere, it affects everything we do, but we almost never see it or name it.
That is the perfect analogy. And we're talking about this invisible force that secretly controls, and I mean this seriously, almost everything. It shapes your career path, it influences who you fall in love with, it dictates your confidence level on a minute by minute basis, and it defines your social circles.
It really does. It's the reason a joke told by one person gets a huge laugh, and the same joke told by someone else falls completely flat. It's the reason one idea gets all the attention in a meeting while a better idea gets ignored. We're talking about the psychology of status.
And I know when people hear that word status, their minds immediately jump to, billionaires and Lamborghinis and private jets.
Right, the flashy, obvious stuff. But that's like looking at the tip of the iceberg. The real game of status is being played underneath the surface in every single interaction. In how you order coffee, in how you talk to your partner, and how you walk into a party. It's a constant, subconscious negotiation of value.
Exactly. And once you learn to see it, you can't unsee it. So today, our goal is to give you the decoder ring. We're going to unpack what status really is, why our brains are so obsessed with it, and how you can ethically navigate and even improve your own standing in the world.
Let's get into it. So, to start, what is status really? If it's not just about money, then what are we talking about?
Okay, I think we need to break it down into three main categories. The first is the one we all know, financial status. It's tangible, you can count it. It's the number in your bank account, the house you own, the car you drive. It's a very clear, if a bit blunt, measure of resources.
The easiest to see for sure. But then there's a second type, which is much more nuanced social status. This is about your rank and reputation within a specific group or community. It's not necessarily tied to money at all.
Totally. Think about a highly respected scientist. They might not be a millionaire, but at an academic conference, their social status is off the charts. People hang on their every word. Or think about the cool kid in high school. They might have had no money, but their social status defined the entire ecosystem of the school. For instance, a respected elder in a small community might have very little financial wealth, but their social status is immense. Their opinion carries enormous weight, and they are shown deference and respect by everyone. That's social status in its purest form.
Exactly. It's domain specific. A world famous gamer has huge status on Twitch, but might be a nobody in the world of finance. A volunteer who organizes the whole neighborhood has immense local status. It's about earned respect and influence in a particular context.
Right. And that brings us to the third, and I think the most powerful form, perceived status. This one is totally internal. It has nothing to do with your bank account or your job title. It's purely about the way you carry yourself. It's the vibe of confidence and self-possession you give off the second you enter a space.
This is the one that's hardest to pin down, but easiest to feel. We've all met someone like this. They walk into a room and, without saying a word, they just command attention. They seem comfortable in their own skin. They're not trying to impress anyone, and because of that, they impress everyone.
Yes, and what's wild is that our brains are built to detect these differences instantly. It sounds kind of awful to say out loud, but we are all constantly ranking each other. It's this nonstop subconscious process. We see someone, and within milliseconds, our brain is running a diagnostic, threat or not, higher or lower on the ladder. Who should I defer to?
It's not really about being judgmental, though. It's a survival tool. Our ancestors had to make snap judgments about who was the leader, who was the skilled hunter, who was the outcast. Our brains are still running that ancient software, just in the context of a modern office or a coffee shop. It's a shortcut to navigate a complex social world.
So our brains are running this constant background check. What data points is it looking for? What are the actual signals of status it's picking up on?
Well, you have the explicit signals, the peacock feathers, the designer clothes, the luxury watch, the fancy car parked out front. These are intentional broadcasts of financial status. They're designed to be noticed.
Easy to read, but also easy to fake to some extent. Or at least they don't tell the whole story.
Not at all. The far more reliable and potent signals are the implicit, behavioral ones. They're much harder to fake because they leak out of us subconsciously. Take speaking style. In any group conversation, notice who speaks first. Who feels comfortable enough to set the tone and topic? Exactly. In fact, sometimes they can even backfire. If someone is trying too hard, showing off their wealth in an aggressive way, it can signal insecurity. It's what's sometimes called new money versus old money. True high status is often quiet and understated. It doesn't need to shout.
That's where the real subtle cues come in, the ones that are much harder to fake. And who interrupts? Oh my gosh, this is such a big one. Think about any meeting you've been in. There's always one or two people who can interrupt anyone else, and everyone just lets them. But if you try to interrupt them back,
It's like hitting a brick wall. You get ignored or talked over. You've violated the unspoken rules of the hierarchy. And the ultimate signal, the real currency of status, is attention. Who do people listen to? When that person speaks, do the side conversations stop? Do people put down their phones and lean in? That voluntary offering of attention is how a group designates its leader in real time.
wow, yeah, attention is currency. That's so true. It's not just about what you say, it's about whether people grant you the space to say it.
And of course, the all nonverbals, the confident, steady eye contact, the calm, purposeful gestures versus nervous fidgeting. How much physical space someone takes up. Are they hunched over, trying to be small, or do they sit back, open and relaxed? It all gets factored into our brain status calculation.
Which, it just begs the question, why? Why are we so deeply, fundamentally obsessed with this? It feels like it should be something we evolve past, but if anything, it seems more intense than ever. There's another layer to this too, which is less about what you own and more about what you know, like taste as a status signal.
Because for the vast, vast majority of human history, your status wasn't about feeling good or getting a promotion. It was a literal matter of life and death. Oh, that's a great one. Knowing about the obscure indie band or the trendy natural wine or the correct philosopher to quote, it signals that you have the time and resources to acquire knowledge that has no immediate practical value. It's cultural capital.
Okay, bring us back to the savannah.
Imagine you're in a small tribe of 150 people. That's your entire world. Your status in that tribe determines everything. If you're a high-status hunter or leader, you get the first and best portion of the food. You get the safest place to sleep near the fire. You have the full protection of the group. Your opinion is heard. Your needs are met.
And if you're low status? And if you're low status?
You get the leftovers. You sleep on the periphery where it's colder and you're more exposed to predators. If there's a famine, you're the first to starve. If the group is attacked, you're the most expendable. A drop in status was a direct threat to your survival.
Okay, that really puts social anxiety into perspective. That fear of being judged or saying the wrong thing, it's not just a modern neurosis, it's a fossilized survival instinct. Okay, that really puts social anxiety into perspective. That fear of being judged or saying the wrong thing, it's not just a modern neurosis, it's a fossilized survival instinct.
It absolutely is. It's the ghost of a much more dangerous reality. And survival was only half the equation. The other half was reproduction. Across the animal kingdom, and certainly for our ancestors, higher status meant more and better mating opportunities. The genes for good at status seeking were more likely to be passed down. We are the direct descendants of the winners of millions of years of status games. This drive isn't a flaw, it's a feature of our design.
So even today, when we're not fighting over scraps of meat, that same wiring is looking for the modern equivalent.
Precisely. The desire for respect is the modern echo of the need for group protection. The pursuit of attraction is the echo of the reproductive drive. And the desire for opportunities, the best jobs, the best connections, is the echo of the hunt for resources. Status is still the master key that unlocks all those things. We can't just switch it off.
Okay, so let's get into the specifics of the behaviors themselves.
If someone is trying to read the room, what does actual high status behavior look like in practice?
It's interesting because it's often defined by what a person doesn't do. High status is economical. It's calm, it's efficient, it doesn't waste energy. The first clear sign is a slow, measured pace of speech.
Right, they're not rushing their words.
Never, because speaking slowly sends a powerful subconscious message. I am confident you will listen. I am not afraid of being cut off. My ideas are worth the time it takes to say them. It projects authority and control.
And that pairs with the calm body language we mentioned: open posture, relaxed shoulders, minimal fidgeting. It's a physical display of being unthreatened by the environment.
But here's the core psychological trait. High status person does not seek approval from the group. They're their own source of validation. They'll state an opinion directly without looking around for nods of agreement. Their frame is, this is my reality, not, is this okay for me to think?
That's such a subtle but huge distinction.
It's everything. And it leads to the final behavior, which is a complete comfort with silence. A low status person feels an overwhelming urge to fill any conversational pause. A high status person can ask a tough question and then just wait. They'll hold eye contact and let the silence hang in the air. It's a massive power move because it forces everyone else to react, to fill that void.
Okay, I'm already thinking of so many people and also getting slightly uncomfortable with my own habits. So let's dive into that. Let's talk about the low status behaviors that we all fall into from time to time.
Yes, the land of self-cringe. It's pretty much the exact opposite of what we just described. The number one signal is talking too fast. It's rushing. It signals nervousness and a subconscious belief that what you have to say isn't important enough for people to wait for, so you better get it out quick.
Guilty. Definitely guilty of that when I'm nervous. Another one for me is over-explaining. You make a simple point, and then for some reason, you feel this compulsive need to add 3 more sentences to justify it, or soften it.
A classic. It screams, I'm not confident in my own statement. It's related to using a lot of qualifiers, phrases like, this is probably a dumb idea, but, or I'm not the expert here, so feel free to disagree, but you're literally telling people to devalue your contribution before you've even made it.
So true. And what about nervous laughter? Like you say something that's not even a joke and you do a little at the end. It's like you're trying to signal, please don't be mad at me for having an opinion.
Yes, all of these behaviors, the fast talking, the over-explaining, the nervous laughter, the excessive head nodding when someone else is talking, they all come from the same place, seeking validation. You're looking to the other person or the group to tell you that you're okay, that what you said was acceptable. You're outsourcing your sense of self-worth in that moment.
Outsourcing your self-worth. That's a powerful way to put it. Okay, so let's apply this to a place where these dynamics are on display every day, the workplace.
Absolutely. The corporate world is basically a giant formalized status hierarchy. You have the most obvious signals right there in the job titles: senior vice president, junior analyst. The words senior and junior are literally status markers.
And the physical environment is a perfect map of that hierarchy. The CEO gets the corner office on the top floor with the best view, the managers get the smaller offices with windows, and the junior employees get the cubicles in the middle of the floor. It's a visual representation of importance.
True. But I'd argue the most valuable status symbol in the modern workplace isn't money or office size. It's autonomy. It's the degree of control you have over your own time.
100%. The most powerful person in the room is the one whose schedule everyone else has to work around. They can show up late to a meeting, and the meeting just starts when they get there. The lower status person has to be there 10 minutes early.
And it extends to everything. Who can just block off focus time in their calendar, and who has their entire day filled with meetings they were summoned to? Who has to formally request vacation time, and who just tells their team, I'll be out next week? Control over your time is the ultimate flex, and it leads directly to the other big signal: decision-making power. Who has the final say? Status isn't about having ideas, it's about being the person who gets to approve or reject them.
And this game doesn't just stop at work, it plays out constantly in our personal lives, especially in dating and relationships.
Oh, big time. People call it playing it cool or the game, but it's all just a subconscious status negotiation.
Let's look at the classic tropes. Who texts first after a date? Who takes longer to reply? It seems silly and manipulative, but what's really happening is a dance around who is signaling more interest. The person who appears less invested often gets assigned a higher status in the dynamic.
It's the principle of least interest. The person who is perceived to need the relationship less holds more power. And it shows up in logistics too. Who makes the plans? Who decides the time and place? Who is more willing to change their schedule or travel farther to accommodate the other person? These small acts of accommodation establish a pattern.
And what about in arguments? Who's always the first one to apologize even if it wasn't their fault, just to smooth things over? That person is signaling that they fear losing the relationship more than they value being right. Again, it's not always healthy, but it's a very clear status tell.
It really is. The key is to aim for a relationship where status is balanced, where both people initiate, both people accommodate, and both people are willing to be vulnerable and apologize. That's a partnership. A constant imbalance, that's a hierarchy.
Okay, so we've taken a deep dive into what this all looks like. Now for the most important part. How can someone listening to this actually, tangibly, and ethically increase their status?
And like you said, the goal isn't to become a domineering jerk. It's about building genuine internal value so that you project authentic confidence. The first and counterintuitive step is to intentionally speak less.
Which seems backward, right? You'd think you need to be louder and talk more to get noticed.
But constant talking often signals nervousness. In any group, the person who holds their tongue, listens intently, and only speaks when they have something concise and valuable to add, their words land with incredible weight. Mystery and economy of words create perceived power.
Okay, speak less. The second one, I'm guessing, is about body language.
Move slower. People with low status rush. They walk fast. They make jerky movements. Practice deliberateness. Walk into a room and actually pause for a second at the door. When someone asks you a question, take a breath before you answer. This physical slowness signals that you are in control and not reactive.
But these are still behavioral changes. What about the foundation underneath it all?
This is the most important part. The only sustainable way to increase your status is to increase your competence. Get ridiculously good at something valuable, whether it's coding, public speaking, gardening, or fixing cars. When you have a skill that people need or admire, you create your own source of value. Your confidence stops being an act and becomes a genuine reflection of your ability.
That competence builds a reputation, and that reputation is what gives you social status. It's the long game.
It's the only game that matters. And finally, be selective. Value your own time and attention as your most precious resources. Learn to say no to things that don't align with your goals. Don't always be available. Scarcity and high standards create value. When you treat your own time as important, other people will start to do the same.
It's such a paradigm shift. Instead of chasing status by trying to please everyone, you build it by focusing on your own value and priorities.
That's it in a nutshell.
So, as we get ready to wrap up this fascinating conversation, Gabriel, what is the single most important closing thought you want to leave everyone with on this topic?
I think it has to be this. Status is not about money. It's not about fame. It's not about what other people think of you. At its core, status is a reflection of what you think of you. It is about perceived value, and the first and only person you truly need to convince of your value is you.
It's an inside job.
It is 100% an inside job. Chasing external validation, the promotion, the praise, the likes, is a game you can never win because the goalposts are always moving and they're controlled by someone else. But when you cultivate genuine self-respect, when you build real competence, when you learn to validate yourself, you develop an inner confidence that is unshakable.
And that internal confidence is what fuels all of the high-status behaviors we talked about, the calm speech, the relaxed body language. They become a natural expression of how you feel inside, not a performance you're putting on.
Exactly. You stop performing and you just start being. And when that happens, the world has a funny way of reorganizing itself around you. The external signals of status that people chase so desperately, respect, opportunities, attention, they stop being things you have to pursue and start being things that are naturally drawn to you.
A powerful and empowering place to end. Understanding the code of status isn't about learning to play a game, it's about learning how to build a stronger sense of self. That is all the time we have for this week on the Behavior Code.
Thank you all for tuning in. We'll talk to you next time. Upbeat cultural music fades in and plays out.